Hi folks, this week I'm going to take you through a short review of the Umpqua ZS2 chest pack. I'm going to show you how I set it up for fly fishing and what I keep inside it for fishing in the winter months. So without further ado, let's get into it. I do a lot of different types of fly fishing, from still water to loch style and of course river fishing, and I did a fairly comprehensive insight into what I keep in my loch style box, and if you missed that the first time round, I'll stick that up in the information bar there if you want to check it out. Out of all the disciplines I do though, river fishing has caused me the most angst in how I carry my kit, and I've been round the block several times. I've had umpteen chest packs, I've had several waistcoats, I've even tried a sling back thing which I didn't really get on with, so that was out the door very quickly. Anyway, I dare say you don't want to hear my moans and gripes about all the chest packs and waistcoats I've been through whilst river fishing, so let's have a closer look at the Umpqua ZS2 Pack. Straight off the bat, if anyone from Umpqua's watching, I live in the UK and getting a hold of this pack was really difficult, and what I would like to say is it's a great pack, but you need to get your European distribution sorted out, please. So before we delve into what's inside the pack, let's talk through the two configurations that I use with this pack. So at the moment I've got this chest pack rigged for competition fishing primarily, that's what it's for. And what does that mean? Well, it comes with two pouches, and the one on the back at the moment is a small pouch which can house an extra fly box or a small drinks bottle, and it also has my magnet placement on the back pouch. And while we're on the subject of magnet placement, let's talk about net placement and how we reach your net. Well, my primary magnet is on the back pouch, as you've seen, and I have my other magnet set on the rim of my net, quite near the handle. And the reason for that is when I put it on, it's attached there. Now there's a couple of good reasons that I do it this way. The first reason is that when I'm deep wading, and depending on what kind of river you're on, your net can often get dragged away with the flow of the current, and there's nothing worse than catching a fish and you're trying to retrieve your landing net which is now flowed downstream. The other reason, of course, is when you're winter grayling fishing, you're not reaching under the water when you're deep wading to grab your net handle, so it's up there all the time. The other thing I've got on this net, and I did in an earlier video, is I've got a secondary magnet on the handle, and the reason for that is sometimes when you're grayling fishing, especially in competition, you can be in shallow water catching fish fairly rapid, and what you don't want to be doing is mucking about with your net. So I've got a magnet on the handle, I've got a secondary magnet on my vest that I can just click it on there. So imagine a scenario, you're catching lots of fish, you can just come off and you're immediately netting them, and then it's straight back up and you're fishing again. So that's why I have that. I know competition fishing is not of great interest to a lot of people, but it is a handy tip, so I thought I would include it. Now more often than not, I'm not rigged for competition like I am today, and this is the net I use. This is a Glen pointing catch and release net, and what it is a really well constructed net with a deep knotless mesh, and it floats. So basically I like to take a lot of photographs of the fish, and for doing the videos it's really handy. So you put the fish in the river, stick it to the side, make sure you hook it up to something. I have had to chase this net down the river more than once because I'm a bit of an idiot, but make sure it's secure, and then you've got all the time in the world to dig out your waterproof camera, your mobile phone, whatever you happen to be doing. So this comes with a backpack. It's a day sack sort of thing. You might not recognise it, especially if you're an American watching this video, because the day sack has a little net keeper that comes out the back here, but I didn't find much use for that. In fact, it got in my way, so I took it out, sewed the pack back up, and it's now configured to how I like it. So what you can get in this pack is a waterproof jacket. You can get an extra layer for winter fishing, or a bottle of water, your sandwiches. What I tend to do is put a waterproof bag inside this sack with my camera equipment, and then if I fall in or it gets wet, the camera equipment's safe enough. It's a great little bit of kit, and generally that's what I would be using for most of my fishing. That and my Glen Pointing floating net. But today I've just rigged up like this because I've got some help on the camera with Malcolm Hunt, and I really appreciate his efforts and his patience with me, by the way. So that's how I set up my chest pack. I'd love to hear how you set up your kit for fishing the river. That's how I've got my pack set up. Let's get back in the warm and have a look and see what's inside. Okay then, before we start unzipping the pack and pulling everything out, let's just go through a few of the external features. So what you see on the top of my box, I've added myself. This is a C&F top box, and I just keep my sort of day-to-day flies and stuff in it. It's quite handy to have that quick change of flies. There's also 2 slots under here that you can add your zingers for your snips. Now, you've got to buy your own zingers, which I find a bit bizarre. A chest pack at this price point, should really come with a couple of zingers. I mean, it would be not too much more money, I wouldn't think. Now, apart from that, there's also lots of tool tabs on this pack, so if you're one of these people that like to have bits of kit hanging off, I like to have mine mostly tucked away. There is plenty of tool tabs. I do have one thing external, which is this. It's a C&F dry pad, and it's similar to an Amadou patch, if you like. Does the same sort of job. And then there's 2 external pockets, which I'll show you what's in there in a sec. And there's also a tool tab specifically designed for forceps, which I find quite handy. And underneath there is an attachment. Again, I've had to add this myself, but this is a C&F attachment for my forceps. So that's pretty much the external features of the pack, and let's get in about and see what I've got inside. So inside these 2 stretch pouches at the front here, I keep my tippet material, and I keep tippet material on both sides, and I'll show you a close-up picture of that. And the pack contains 2 sections. So there's a front pouch, and inside the front pouch I keep a couple of things. I've got a small pen knife here, just in case I've got to cut through anything. It rarely gets used, but it's better to have it and not need it. I also keep a couple of, well, 3 actually, wax indicators for when I'm French nymphing, or Euro nymphing, or Spanish nymphing, or Polish nymphing, or whatever you want to call it. But again, I'll show you them in close-up. What else is in here? I've got some gink, and I've got some Hunt's Original floatant powder. There's bound to be more. Yep, so I've got some muslin here, and I use the muslin not so much for flies, but for just using on the end of my floating line, and it just keeps it high in the water, so that's always handy to have. And I suffer terribly from chapped lips, you know, so I've also got a lipsil. And oh, there's some more goodies in here. Let's have a looky. Some Hunt's Original mud. I love this stuff. It never seems to dry out. I think I've had this one for about 3 years. It's brilliant. Really good gear. Couldn't recommend that enough. So, some Hunt's mud. And I've also got a tape measure. Now, that might seem a little bit strange, but I've never been one for weighing fish. I like to measure them, and then I can sort of roughly estimate what the weight was. But little tape measure for that. That's the front pouch. So as you can see, the front pouch contains quite a bit of stuff. My main pouch, I carry much less. So this time of year for winter fishing, I'm currently carrying 3 fly boxes. This is the wind fly box, which I'll be doing a little review on later. And I've got a couple of other fly boxes. So one's got dry flies and very, very small nymphs. and the other one has got my heavier bugs in. Now, I've got all my fly boxes, other than the wind box, which I'm sort of working on at the moment, attached. And that's just in case when I'm leaning over, I forgot to zip up the pouches, or I drop the boxes while I'm changing flies. They're only going as far as the lanyards will allow. And for me, one of the most important bits of kit is my waterproof camera. You just never know when you're out angling what you're going to catch, and if you get a fish of a lifetime and your mobile phone's run out of charge, or you don't like to get it out near water, it's always good to have a waterproof camera. And I love this thing, it's great. The one I use is the Olympus Tough, and it's very good. So you've seen how I set up, you've seen what's in the pack. Now, what do I think of this pack? Well, as I said very early on in the video, I've had lots of chest packs, and what I tend to do with my river fishing anyway is I've chop and change. So in the winter I use a very, very small pack, then I change up to like a medium chest pack in the spring, and then come summer I've got a full waistcoat, that because I'm just carrying so much kit, and I wanted to try and get away from that by just having the one pack that would see all my river fishing, and this season this has done that for me. I've got no gripes with it to speak of, and what I would say though is, for the price point, so little things, you know, you can add little things on. The zingers, you know, it's not a cheap pack. It should really come with a couple of zingers on. I've had to add the box. That's maybe a personal thing. People might not like to have that on top of the chest pack because it catches the fly line or whatever. I like it, I think it's quite handy. And the forcep tabs I think is a really clever thing. I'm always looking for the forceps, and when I had them inside my pouches or waistcoat, it was a pain, but that's really handy, easy to access, and I like that a lot. It's very comfortable to wear. The yoke sits high, it makes it sit high up on the chest. I mean, they're in the main pouch where I'm currently keeping my fly boxes in. There is much more capacity. I could probably fit another 2 C&F size boxes into this pouch, but I don't like to overload it. And the reason for that is I can't see over my front. When you're wading in the river, that can be quite dangerous if you slip. And I know there's quite a well-known angler last year fell over on the tees and ended up breaking a couple of ribs on a rock because he couldn't see over the chest pack. So don't overload them. It's tempting because the space is there, but don't do it. You always need far less than you think. So all in all, the Umpqua at the moment is a winner for me. Until I can find something better, and I'm always got my eye out, I'm going to stick with this. I really like it. Thanks very much for watching the video, folks, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you click that button. I would really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.